You know, according to some news outlets, the Trayvon Martin case is set for trial. And if this indeed is true, then within a few weeks or a couple of months, what you're going to see is Afro-American Negroes across this nation once again demonstrating their utter hypocrisy. For there is no other better visual classic example of the Afro-American Negro's hypocrisy than can be found within this Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman case. Many of you are going to wonder, what are you talking about? How can you say that this case highlights the hypocrisy of the Afro-American Negro? And I'm glad you asked that, because I have every intention on answering it. It becomes quite laughable. Well, no, let me backtrack and let me say this as perfunctory. I in no way am attempting to make light of the death of a young man, nor am I trying to make light of his parents, his loved ones, family, friends, their loss. They have my condolences, they have my sympathy. The problem that I have with this case is the response not only by the Afro-American Negro, but by his paternalistic slave master, white liberals, and how they have used the death of Trayvon Martin and have stood on his coffin, literally, parading in front of the whole world the doctrine of being a victim. For there is no better example that the white liberal seeks to promote, or the narrative that the white liberal pushes, is that these young black men and Negroes in black communities across this nation are indeed victims of institutionalized racism and just blatant disrespect by police departments, and it's just gotten to the boiling point to where this case just had to be protested and we had to demand something be done. Many of the Negroes who this time last year attended Trayvon Martin rallies all across this nation, donning hoodies, eating Skittles, drinking iced tea. I am Trayvon. This is what the Negro said. This is what the white liberal told the Negro to say. And they held rallies, candlelight vigils all over this nation. Why even President Barack Hussein Obama chimed in, as he always seems to do on social issues, and mentioned that, well, if I had a son, he would look like Trayvon. And as a side note, and I want to digress from my point, I wonder if he's talking about the media picture of Trayvon when he was basically in elementary school, or was he talking about the images of Trayvon where he was throwing up the finger, calling himself the bad nigga, or nigga with attitude, or whatever the case may be. But that's just a side note. But you know, the hypocrisy of the Afro-American Negro hinges upon one simple fact that everyone else can see, but the Negro fails to accept. And that is this: how in the world can you people hold rallies and protests, candlelight vigils for an individual who was shot and killed by a person who happens to have been non-black? Yet, in your communities, all across this nation, you have black on black murders taking place damn near every day. And you Negroes don't hold candlelight vigils, you don't protest, you don't march up and down the streets As a matter of fact, what you Negroes do, if Pookie was to get shot in broad daylight at high noon, and you have 150 Negroes mulling around, and he gets shot at high noon amongst 150 Negroes selling dope, playing rap music, playing basketball, having a cookout, cooking chicken, and he gets shot in the midst of all these people. Yet when the detectives come on the scene to try to interview people, what happened? Do you know the guy who pulled the trigger? Nobody knows anything. Because you Negroes have a belief in your community about snitching. And so therefore you don't talk to the investigators. So there are many unsolved black on black homicides. Because you people won't talk to the investigators, the detectives. They can't solve these cases because 150 Negroes who seen the shooting won't give up any information. They won't even call in and leave a tip anonymously. You Negroes won't do anything. The only time you people get up in arms, the only time that all of a sudden you feel like it is your civic duty, is when that murder is done by somebody that's non-black. And that demonstrates better than anything else that you Negroes do, your utter hypocrisy. Because if you Negroes are not up in arms when it's a black on black homicide, then how dare you Negroes march around, hold candlelight vigils, run around talking about we demand justice, no peace, again wearing your dashiki from Taiwan and your kente cloth from Korea. And then what you savages will say is, well, you know, the reason why black people were so upset with this case is because George Zimmerman wasn't immediately arrested. He wasn't immediately charged. And that goes back to my previous point. You have numerous unsolved homicides. Go look on the books. Black men gunned down in broad daylight. 150 to 200 Negroes mulling around. And nobody's saying anything. Because nobody, don't snitch. Snitches get stitches. This is what you people say. This is what you believe. When the investigators knock on your door, you people treat them like the Seventh-day Adventists or the Jehovah's Witnesses. You peek out your curtain and see that it's a detective and you don't even open the door. You don't even talk to him. Even though you know who the trigger person was. You know who pulled the trigger. You know who conducted the murder, but you won't talk to anybody. So it goes unsolved. So how can you Negroes be so outraged that George Zimmerman wasn't immediately charged and Trayvon Martin's death didn't have anybody arrested for it? But yet still you have numerous black on black homicides in your community, Negro. Your black churches don't say anything. Your defunct civil rights Negroes, Al Sharpton and Messy Jackson, the irrelevant NAACP, the Urban League, all of these so-called, the Nation of Islam, all of these other buffoons that you have in your community running around claiming that they speak for black people. They only speak for black people when there's somebody white that did the shooting. As long as it's black on black, you Negroes don't say anything. You remain as silent as a rat pissing on cotton. We don't hear a peep out of you Negroes. But you let somebody white be the perpetrator. You let somebody white be the one that pulled the trigger. And then you Negroes do what y'all love to do, which is what the white liberal always tells you to do. Get out and protest. Because this promotes the narrative that the white liberal has been pushing to you Negroes for the last 50 or so years, and maybe even longer. That you are indeed a victim. And nothing that you do that is negative, that is deviant, that is antisocial, none of that is your fault. Because it is the results of slavery. It is post-traumatic stress or post-traumatic slave syndrome. And this is most incredible that you Negroes actually quote this and that you Negroes actually have bought that narrative. Because this is what you say. Well, we can't say anything about what goes on in our community. We don't own no gun stores. We don't own no liquor store. This is the rationale that you Negroes have as to who's to blame for every corner damn near having a liquor store, a crack house or a church. And in most instances, the crack house and the church is one and the same. But this is the excuse that you Negroes use. It never has dawned on you people that just because you stay in a community that has liquor stores, that don't mean that you have to drink. Just because you stay in a community where you have dope dealers, that don't mean that you have to buy dope. Just because you stay in a community of Negroes who don't want anything out of life, who are happy with just getting up, standing around a corner store 8 hours a day, mulling around, millet dripping off their head, knuckles dragging the ground, playing basketball, doing nothing. This is what these Negroes do. Holding the senior citizens in that community hostage with their wanton violence over stupidness over a yellow gumball, a big butt heifer, or Air Jordan tennis shoes. And you Negroes remain silent. Your civil rights Negroes remain silent. Your black churches remain silent while you Negroes are terrorizing your own community. But then soon as a white cop rolls up on the scene, and as soon as that cop comes and does what any person who works in law enforcement would do when they see one of you coons and you're running around there, you're packing pistols, you're shooting up your neighborhood, you're violent prone, everybody knows this. This is the music that you listen to. This is what you rap about. You got thug life. You got a gun medallion around your neck. You got a gun medallion on your tattooed on your sleeve. You're known for violence. So when a cop rolls up on the scene, he's supposed to treat you with kid gloves? You wonder why he rolls up on you with his hand on his pistol? And you done talked about how many people you done shot? You got teardrops tattooed on your face about how many people you done murdered? And then you think that he's supposed to walk up on you and hand you a butter knife and ask you, how are you doing today, Mr. Savage? I mean, you people are completely amazing. It is amazing that you people don't get this. And that you don't see the utter hypocrisy that everybody else sees. They're laughing at you people. They're laughing at you. Because it is so blatant. The utter insanity. And nobody will take the time and say, wait a minute, we can't go this route. We can't go this route of protesting Trayvon Martin, even though it's a sad incident anytime a person loses their life. But we have to also be proactive when those murders are conducted by a black person. We should be equally as outraged. But nobody has that kind of knowledge in your community. Nobody has that kind of insight. Nobody has that kind of reasoning skills. Because you Negroes love playing victim. And as long as you can say, well, you know what? That cop shot him because he was a racist. Or that cop shot him because he don't like black people. Or that cop shot him and he didn't have no way. And y'all, it fits the victimization, the victim mentality that you Negroes have, that the white liberal has been preaching to you Negroes for the last 50 or so years. And this is the reason why, when it's a black on black homicide, you Negroes stand down. You Negroes will not talk to the investigators. You won't even call in and give a tip where you don't even have to leave your name. You won't tell that officer detective, look, I won't talk to you now in front of all these people, but I'll tell you what, give me your email address, I'll shoot you an email. You won't do nothing. So across this nation, you have unsolved homicides, black men who have killed other black men. And those guys are walking the streets simply because of you Negroes and your belief of not snitching. But as soon as a white person pulls the trigger, all of a sudden you Negroes become civic-minded. And your back straightens up. And you feel like it is your duty to go talk to the investigators and tell them everything that you really didn't see, but what you heard. It is what it is.